Everybody see my screen okay? It looks good?
Yep, you're good to go.
Okay, thanks Liz. Well, welcome everybody to the Pragmatic Works training on the T's. It's a really great opportunity for me to come and speak to you guys, and it's kind of a last-second thing. Pragmatic Works kind of put me on the spot, but that's okay. This is a session I've done before, and it's a really good session, which is why I don't mind doing it again. Devin Knight and I delivered a session very similar to this during Past Summit last year. It was called Multidimensional versus Tabular, and so this is kind of the tabular side of things. And the results we saw from the poll a few minutes ago is very typical to what we're seeing with our clients. Even though tabular technology, and really PowerPivot has been out longer than that, but even though the tabular model technology was released in 2012, still not a lot of people are using those. And I think part of that is because of just the lack of knowledge around the technology, what it can do, how does it stack up against multidimensional, is your organization right for tabular? So there's a lot of questions that come up when we start trying to discuss is tabular the right decision for our organization, and is it the right decision for the business model? And for you to be able to make that decision, we have to know some things about tabular models and how they work, how they're developed, what are the pros and cons there. Tabular isn't really a silver bullet. It's not going to solve all your problems, but it can solve some of them. And so we just need to understand how the technology works so that way we can make a good decision about whether tabular is right for us. And so based on the poll results, it looks like a lot of people aren't really sure if tabular is the right decision. So some of you do have tabular models in production. Some of you are working on them, and we'll hope to have them in production soon at some point, I guess. And then it looks like a lot of you do not have tabular on the horizon. So that's what this session is all about. It's called kind of what the tabular, kind of a funny play on the session topic there. But let me introduce myself. My name is Dustin Ryan, and I'm a senior BI consultant and trainer at Pragmatic Works. So I've been consulting for Pragmatic Works in the BI field for 6 years now. So it's a Pragmatic Works, great company to work for. It's been an incredible experience. Love working for PW. And also I'm a trainer for Pragmatic Works, so I teach the Analysis Services Master's class, which is primarily multidimensional focused. So we took an in-depth look at some of the advanced techniques for designing OLAP cubes. So if you're interested in upping your multidimensional development game, definitely check out that class. And I also teach the Introduction to MDX. So MDX is one of those query languages that seems a little mysterious and complex, but we kind of break it down, make it a little simple for you. So check out that class as well. My primary focus is in data warehouse design and analysis services. So that's probably what I spend about 90% of my time doing. Used to do a lot of SSRS, don't spend that much time doing that anymore. And then I also occasionally get my hands dirty with SSIS and SharePoint BI. I've been a technical editor for RocksPress before, a contributor, so if you've read the SQL Server Analysis Services 2012 Professional Edition, I was a contributor on that book and did a lot of work on the chapter on MDX. If you were at Past Summit last year, you may have seen me speaking there on the session Tabular versus Multidimensional. I spoke at SQL Rally in Dallas last year as well. I speak at SQL Saturday events regularly in Code Camp, so you may have seen me there. And my hobbies are spending time with my family, sleep, very important, and then preparing for the war against the machines. It's coming, folks. Whether you realize it or not, you need to be prepared. So, a little joke there, but seriously, it's coming. Okay, so today, what we're going to talk about is making the right choice. So how do we decide if the current project or the requirements dictated by the user lend themselves towards tabular or multidimensional? So we're going to look at the differences between tabular and multidimensional, and there's a lot of differences, so we're not going to hit all of them. But we're going to hit the high points. We're going to discuss some of the big ones that are going to kind of help you make that decision. So we may not hit all the little nitty-gritty details, but we're going to look at how the two technologies differ and how the requirements may lend the project to go more the tabular route or the multidimensional route. I'm going to try and go really fast through that. I'm going to try not to spend too much time on that. I'd like to get into building a tabular model so that way I can show you the basics of it, because it looks like there's a lot of people in the class who have not maybe built a tabular model. And so I'd like to get into the basics of that and show you just how really easy it is. And then as we go through building that, I'll point out and make a special emphasis on the best practices. So that way I don't just leave you with kind of the basics of how to build a tabular model, but I kind of give you the best practices too. And then at the end I'll give you some resources. So let's jump into the showdown there. 2 technologies enter, 1 technology leaves, right? Or you know, kind of the play on Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome there. Good movies. So we're going to discuss cubes versus the tabular models, and I'll post this the PowerPoint slide deck up on my blog, and at the end of the class I'll post a link up to where my blog is at, so you guys can keep an eye on that. So don't worry about trying to copy all of this down. The 2 columns here that I want you to focus on are the multidimensional and the tabular. Power pivot, not so much. We're not going to spend any time talking about that, but I did put it in the slide so that way you guys have it as for informational purposes. So when we're talking about multidimensional and we're talking about actions, multidimensional natively supports actions, tabular does not. So if you have the requirement to drill through to an SSRS report, for instance, that may kind of push you towards the multidimensional side. Now, it's not natively built into tabular, but there is a plugin. You guys may have heard of it, BIDS Helper, that does allow you to, and it's a free install. The BIDS Helper tool is a free install, and that does allow you to build in the actions into the tabular models. But natively, multidimensional is the only technology that supports the drill-through actions, which allow you to have a user click on a spreadsheet or a pivot table that they've opened up against analysis services and then jump to an SSRS report or an internet link or something like that. Based on the way multidimensional and tabular work, multidimensional is the only technology that supports aggregations, and we'll kind of get into the way tabular organizes the data a little bit. Calculated measures, of course, supported in both technologies. Now the query language is going to be different. If you've ever built a multidimensional cube, you know that calculations built in a multidimensional cube are going to be written in MDX. And if you've ever built a tabular model, you know that the calculations built into a tabular model are going to be written using DAX, which is a really simple expression language. It's kind of very Excel-esque. And the IntelliSense in the tabular designer is really good, so the calculations will almost write themselves for you.